Traditions, values, culture. These are the things that help us remember where we came from. It's time for Family Heritage Stories.
I'm Doug Jessop.
And I'm Nisha DeGaring, and welcome to Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these things passed down from generation to generation? Through deeds, through words, and through stories. Everyone has unique skills and interests. For example, I am not a painter, but how did you get into your occupation? So you're wearing the green. Obviously, you're a doctor. Inquiring minds want to know, what kind of doctor?
I am, it's a bit of a mouthful, but I am an interventional pediatric cardiologist.
Do you remember like one of those first patients where it's like, okay, we got this kid. This kid has some serious problems. It's all on, it's all on your hands. It's all on you. You're going in. What's going through your mind?
Well, I remember an early case in my fellowship where, we have our hairy cases, we have our kind of routine cases, but it kind of hit me full circle when I was scrubbing in one day and we had a little 4-year-old girl who had a hole in her heart. We were going to go in there and close it with a device, and it's pretty routine. But seeing her kind of laying on the table as they're putting her to sleep, instead of being all covered up and we're just going in to do this procedure, it kind of struck me that this is a big deal. And we're taking someone's child and taking responsibility for them. And at times this is a rough business, but thankfully, most of the time everything goes like it's supposed to. And when it does, it's incredible. I mean, it really is an opportunity, or I feel fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to kind of do what I love and help people and have it go like it's supposed to most of the time.
Now, you brought some show and tell items. Walk me through the process of what this thing does.
The main thing that I want to showcase today is the Harmony valve. It's from a company called Medtronic. It's a transcatheter pulmonary valve. We're able to replace someone's pulmonary valve through the vein in the leg without opening up the chest, without going on the heart-lung bypass machine and emptying the heart out of blood and then going in there and surgically implanting this valve. So we can actually do it through the vein in the leg while the heart's beating and while the patient is asleep on the table under general anesthesia. A lot of the patients that we deal with have had multiple open heart surgeries already, and they're facing a lifetime of repeated open heart surgeries, because if you need an artificial valve, in general, most of these valves will go bad after about 7 years. So the body reacts to the tissue and beats up these valves faster than they would if you didn't have congenital heart disease. So this allows us to break the cycle of open heart surgery after open heart surgery after open heart surgery and be able to do it less invasively. And most of the time, we're fortunate that it goes like it's supposed to. And then we can get patients into the hospital, we can replace their heart valve, and they're walking out on their own the next morning with a couple Band-Aids.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
It's nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
So the last question I like to ask everybody. When I've been to the doctor, and they're doing the surgery, they get out the pen and say, okay, I want to make sure we're doing it on the right, foot or leg or whatever, so you make some marks, okay? How do you want to, and it might not be on the surgery thing, okay, but how do you want to leave your mark?
I want to spend my life helping people, and whether it's helping my daughters grow up and be solid citizens, or help my patients grow up and lead as normal life as possible, I just like to be known as a humble guy who did his best to add something to the world.
Well, on behalf of all the patients that you've served at Prairie Mary Children's Hospital, thank you for what you do, and thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
Lucy, let me borrow your shampoo.
What a roommate. Can't you ever buy your own stuff?
Well, Lucy, I'm not exactly dressed to go to the store right now.
How convenient.
Head and Shoulders. I know it really works against your dandruff, but what about my gorgeous hair?
Your gorgeous hair will love it. You know, it is the best-selling shampoo in America.
Best-selling dandruff shampoo, you mean?
Best-selling shampoo of any kind. Because it hates your dandruff, but it also loves your hair. I use it regularly.
Well, smells okay. Some kind of lather, too. Know what I think?
You think you look adorable.
Not just that, hon. I think your shampoo did a terrific sexy number on my hair. I love it.
I'm glad. Now you could buy the Head and Shoulders. We're out.
Okay, can I borrow some money?
Head and Shoulders hates your dandruff, loves your hair.
There is something so special about the bond between grandchild and grandparent. So how would you answer the question? Tell me about your grandma or your grandpa.
My grandma. So my grandma on my dad's side, or my dad's mom, she was an avid genealogist. She's actually the one that got me interested in genealogy. I was her designated chauffeur, so every week I would drive her over to town so she could go to the family history library and spin the microfiche machine, and I would feel car sick and then I'd have to drive home. But she was amazing. She loved family history. She would tell me all the stories, and that's really what inspired me to get into it.
How about her husband, your grandpa?
My grandpa was a character. He had a story for everything. He was older. He died when he was 100 years old, and he toured pretty much all over the United States. So one of his first cars was a bootlegger's car that got confiscated. He filed off the serial number, replaced it with a legitimate car, and drove that to New York City.
The last words that my grandfather said were, "Please remember me." This is Doug Jessop. It would be my honor to help you share your story with a private in-studio interview with a video for you to keep. Go to FamilyHeritageStories.com for pricing and to schedule your interview. How do you want to be remembered? It's not just a question for old people. With me today, LaVon Wells-Sandberg. LaVon, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You mentioned that you have 4 children, but of which 3 are living. So tell me about the 4th.
The 4th is Kiva. Kiva was born with McCune-Albright syndrome, a rare condition. And we didn't know. We had no idea. And she transitioned, she passed away on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th of 2000. And that was a very intense experience. It was a bittersweet experience. By the time we were done, she was on life support, on 17 medications to suppress her condition, and doused up with quite a bit of morphine, 5 months, 7 pounds. And finally, a doctor pulled me aside and said, "What do you want us to do?" And I said, "I want her off the life support and I want to hold her." And we met with the ethics board for the second time. They agreed that would be the most humane thing for her. And we were able to take her off life support, and I held her for an hour, and she passed away in my arms.
What would you say to someone that is going through the passing of a child or has recently?
Breathe. Breathe in the moments that you can breathe, because there'll be moments where you feel like you cannot breathe, because our bodies are magnificent that way. It'll kick in the practice of breathing when we really feel like we cannot. And so I would say breathe, feel the emotions, be with the emotions, do not run from the grief, turn and face the grief when you are able to, because it will catch up with you. And I've had that personal experience of that myself, where it just knocked me on my back. And I literally was laying there, and then I sat up and just thought, you know, I have an idea of what's going on here, somewhat of an idea, because I felt her leave the crown of her head. I felt her leave with me when I was at the hospital, when I gathered her things. I felt her during the whole procession of arranging for her celebration of life. I mean, it was so profound. That's why I say bittersweet, that I couldn't deny all the signs and all the tangible things that I saw and experienced and heard and felt. And so I would say own those feelings, be in those emotions, and be willing to give yourself kindness and compassion when you go there. The good news about my experience is I learned how strong I really am. And I also learned that there's different definitions for strength. So when you tell someone, you're so strong, or be strong, it can be offensive to a grieving parent, to a grieving mother. They don't want to be strong. They just want their baby back. They just want to be able to hold their child. And so I would say to those grieving the passing of a child, strength looks many different ways. Strength is laying in your bed and not wanting to get up, but maybe just taking a couple of deep breaths. Strength is actually getting out of your bed and going and washing a dish in the kitchen and drying it and putting it away and then going back to bed, you know?
Was there by chance someone that did something or said something while you were going through that that made a difference, that helped you?
Made a difference that helped me. I would just say, because there was a lot of things people said that just.
Well, see, that's what I wonder, because if you're going through that, it's like, you know, you go to a funeral, and no offense, you know, when it's an older person, okay, you know, I mean,
They lived a long life.
Yeah, nobody quite knows what to say anyway.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a child, no parent should have to bury a child. What, you know, I guess I'm trying to figure out, was there anything that someone could have said that would have helped?
Yes, and I did have a very good friend, Beck, that said to me, you be and feel how you're feeling, and you be with all of it, and it's okay. I don't know what you're going through. I have no clue. I don't even know what to say to you. All I can say is that I love you. And I love Kiva. You know, and she was just authentically there. She didn't need to fill the space with, you know, God needed your child more than you get to have. I mean, I've had people say that, things like that. So just being mindful that if you do not know what to say nothing. Saying nothing is better than saying something that's going to just pierce that mother's heart or that father's heart in that moment. But to just say, I don't know, or even if they have had the experience, I've had that experience, but I still don't know what you're feeling. So I'm just going to be here, and I'm going to sit with you. The sit. Be willing to sit instead of spit.
I like that.
You're watching Family Heritage Stories. We'll be right back.
I have a pretty cool family. Some family I haven't even met, but they are amazing too. How do I know? Your history is everywhere, if you know where to look. But searching through all this? Are you kidding me? Actually, Kindex makes it easy to gather records and add them to your online archive. So everyone can jump in and index their records, making every word searchable.
As I sit here all alone, I wonder what you are doing now, period.
So I look on that and say,
There are lots of ways to transcribe and tag records. With Kindex, I know them anyway.
There are reasons why people celebrate Swiss days or Day of the Dead. It's one word: culture.
Hi, this is Doug Jessop, TV Travel Man. Today, we're in Ketchikan, Alaska. As Alaska's first city, Ketchikan likes to say that they are the beginning of the last frontier. The city is located at the southernmost entrance to Alaska's famed Inside Passage. Downtown Ketchikan is a National Historic District. Part of that history is reflected at the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. I'm with Patrick with the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. You know, he's got the getup and everything. Tell me about your show.
So the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show is kind of a historical competition that happened here in Ketchikan. So it was originally called the Timber Carnival. And what that was we had two major logging camps that were within a pretty close proximity. One of them being the Spruce Mill Camp, which actually sat right here on this waterfront in Ketchikan. Then the other one is called Dawson Creek Camp. And about 100 miles away from here is the start of the Dawson Creek TSA. So the TSA stands for Timber Supply Area, and that was about 5.7 million acres in British Columbia, so it was a giant chunk of land. But the Dawson Creek Camp was actually the largest camp on that TSA.
So I thought Dawson Creek was like a TV show. Come on.
That's a common misconception around here. A lot of people come in, they're like, where's all the stars, you know?
What's the favorite thing that people love to watch here?
Honestly, it's the crowd interaction. That's like, when it really comes down to it, that's the part that people are thriving off of. And that includes the lumberjacks and the crowd as well. Like the crowd comes in here, they're looking for a rowdy time. And that's kind of how we like to project the show. It is a rowdy time. So we've got those two separate teams. So being able to kind of be a part of the camp and really get into it, really cheer for your team, that's kind of one of the big things they like. When it comes to events though, they pretty much like it all. I mean, chopping is always going to be a big show starter there, but then we've also got the speed climb. Speed climb is one of the most exciting events in all of timber sports. These guys practically free fall from the tops of the trees and hit the crash pads.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to get my video out and see, okay, which one actually won? So
exactly.
And then, of course, you know, they got to get into the water, right?
Oh yeah, got to get in the water. So we got those two water events, and Boom Run is one of the more dangerous events, which is kind of surprising because they can hit the logs, they can get pinched between the logs. A lot of dangerous things can happen. But then you have the log roll. Log roll is always going to be an exciting event because it's just such a fast-paced thing. Those guys are out there. And that's actually one of the hardest events in timber sports to master as well. So it takes these guys years to get to the level that they're at.
What's something people might not know about this show?
About this show in particular? That it's actually based on true historical fact. Like that's one of the things that they don't know. They get the idea it's a show, so it's going to be completely made up, but this is also a real competition that happened in the past, and it's happening to this day. Every 4th of July is when it would originally happen. But even this 4th of July, we're going to have what we call the Iron Jack competition, or the Alaskan Iron Jack. So it's technically based on historical competition between two real historic camps. And also the excitement here is all real as well.
Oh yeah.
Lumberjacks are really competing. They're
I can tell.
They're
You
really
can tell.
doing it all. So.
Okay. With another entry into Jessop's Journeys, people, places, and things you might not know about from the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show, I'm Doug Jessop.
What are your family stories? I'm Nisha DeGaring.
I'm Doug Jessop. It would be our honor to help you share your stories with an in-studio interview.
We take out the bloopers, add in your pictures, and give you a digital video to keep.
To schedule your interview, go to FamilyHeritageStories.com.
Objects with stories. Those are treasures remembered.
I'm here with Micah Christensen from Anthony's Fine Art, and so number one, thanks for letting us see all this cool stuff here. We've got a special painting behind here, so tell me a little bit about it.
So this is a painting whose subject most people will recognize if you're from one of the major world religions.
Yeah.
This is the flight into Egypt. You have Mary, you have the Christ child, and you have Joseph, who have just fled Bethlehem in order to avoid being killed by Herod's troops. The artist who did this is Edouard Jérôme Paupignon. He was a French artist. He painted this in 1892, where it showed in the Paris Salon of 1892.
Okay, now that's a big deal.
Now, it is a huge deal. It's something that it's hard for us to comprehend today. And the number of people who went to Paris to see the Paris Salon where this showed was roughly 2.8 to 3 million people.
Wow.
So twice the population. This is at a time when there weren't really movies or radio or television. The mass entertainment of that time was painting, was sculpture, were these major exhibitions. And the exhibition had echoes abroad where this painting, it was one of 2,000 paintings shown at the exhibition, was then reproduced in multiple formats, in books, in postcards, in posters. It hung on people's walls. It had a life well beyond this artist and this work.
So I noticed some geography and these mountains. Do they have any kind of significance?
So this is the Jabal al-Altar mountain in Egypt. And that's a place today where if you were to look at it, on top of that hill is the Church of the Madonna. And it's to commemorate this moment in the scriptures of the Coptic Egyptians, who are Christian Egyptians, and also of Muslims, the story of Christ coming to Egypt. So if you're an Egyptian Christian, the idea of Christ coming to Egypt, it's a big part of your heritage and your story.
Now, I also noticed that the angels over here, obviously they're not looking at them, they're kind of in the side. But I also know they kind of have this pastel colors, almost like a mauve.
That's right.
Is there any significance in that?
So the 1890s was the era of Art Nouveau, and this color becomes a fashion, this mauve color. And it plays right into the Romanovs, the Russian royal family, who is at this time redecorating the Alexander Palace in St. Petersburg. It's their main residence as the Russian royal family. And they're redecorating it in the style of Art Nouveau, much to the horror of some people who are living at the time. And the most frequented room by the family, the one that's the most precious to them, is called the Mauve Room.
Well, yeah, there you go.
When they saw this painting in the Salon of 1892, it had already been sold to another collector. So they go to Edouard Jérôme Papillon and they ask him to make another painting of a similar subject, which is also Flight into Egypt. And it hung over the chair where they did their knitting, where they did their socializing in the Alexander Palace.
Well, thank you so much for sharing these stories, because the way I look at it, objects with stories are treasures remembered.
From connecting with cave art to creating videos that show up on your kids' or grandkids' devices, this is all about connection, connecting with people we know and we love. Want to know about the power of a story? We asked Mara.
It's priceless. It's priceless to me because when I was first sitting with the guys listening to their stories, it's something you just can't get back. And there's a lot of stories I wish I would have had recorded from my dad, my mom, my grandparents. So at least we were able to get these stories recorded. And to have them videoed and digitized is key, because the younger generation, you know, sitting with my nephews, doing homework with them over COVID, they weren't looking at books, they were looking at screens. And they can look at this on a screen.
I'm Doug Jessop.
And I'm Nisha Gehring. It would be our honor to help tell your family heritage story. Go to our website to schedule an in-studio interview on the Jessop's Journal TV set. Broadcast audio, video, and lighting are already set up to ensure quality control. All you need to do is come to our Salt Lake City studio and we'll do the rest. Our professional editing staff will take out bloopers and add your pictures to create a private digital video for your devices. Go to FamilyHeritageStories.com for pricing and to schedule your interview.
I'm sending you a postcard from the United States with words on the back never got a chance to say. When it soars across that pond and reaches your house, may it leave you with closure, a little less doubt. Hope you eased up on the drinking, hope you laugh, hope you care. Hope your days are even better than the ones that we shared. And I hope that you find love will settle down somewhere soon. And I hope that this world sees who I see in you. I know you tried to reach me, know you tried. I know we felt the same way, but the timing wasn't right. Ships in the night, ships in the night. Since the last time I saw you, well, I've seen better days. The person that I used to be seems so far away, and she's not traveling down God's highway in books or melodies, but maybe in these words is where you find me. I know you tried to reach me, know you tried. I know we felt the same way, but the timing wasn't right. Ships in the night, ships in the night. Tried to reach me, know you tried. I know we felt the same way, but the timing wasn't right. Ships in the night, ships in the night, ships in the night. From this Arizona desert to your cold English shores, I'm sending you my love, nothing more. I'm sending you my love and nothing more.
What makes you smile? Spry mouthwash helps me smile. I think it might help you too.
It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
If stories aren't passed down from generation to generation, the stories are lost, and it's as though those people never existed.
So how do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessop.